Moderator. I'll try to be as brief as I can. I voted against this proposal last evening, and I'd like to talk about, explain the reasons why. But first, I would like to point out for the audience and for the taxpayers watching on television the salaries that we're talking about. And I'll just briefly highlight the. It's a 4-year contract that's going to start in July 2013 and will end in 2017. High school principal this year will make $149,000. Middle school principal will make $140,000. A director of pupil services will make $133,000. An elementary principal will make $130,000. I'm just rounding numbers. A high school assistant principal will make $127,000. A middle school assistant principal will make $124,000. An elementary assistant principal will make $118,000. A coordinator of related services will make $118,000. And a director of adult education in 2013 will make $111,000. From that point on, these folks will be receiving an increase of about 1.95% increase over the next 4 years. And if you compound it, that's just under 8% over 4 years. And if you don't know what compound is, when you have a savings account and you have compound interest, it means if you start with your account with $10, next year it's $11. The year after that it's $12. And after that it's $13. So the interest isn't based on $10. It's based on each progressive year, the interest goes up and up and up. Same thing with salaries. This is over 4 years. These folks are going to be getting 8%, just under an 8% increase. So in 2016 and 2017, a high school principal will be making $157,000. A middle school principal will be making $150,000. A director of pupil services will be making $142,000. An elementary principal will be making $140,000. A high school assistant principal will be making $135,000. A middle school assistant principal will be making $133,000. An elementary assistant principal and a coordinator of related services will be earning $126,000. And finally, the director of adult education will be earning $119,000. And you have to include 30 to 40% increase in benefits. They have an excellent benefit package. I reviewed it. It's the best in the business. It includes a health insurance with term life, which is twice their salary, accidental death insurance, a great medical package and dental package, illness and disability leave, pregnancy and childbirth leave, death and family leave. They get 2 personal leaves per year, religious holidays, long-term leases of absence without pay, short-term leaves of absence based on the determination of the Board of Education, statutory leaves, jury duty, military duty, and 4 weeks of paid vacation. That's the package, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what we need to decide if we want to vote on this tonight. Why am I voting to reject this package? Here are the reasons why. First of all, these folks are pretty much guaranteed raises based on whether or not they do a good or a lousy job. So my feeling is, like every other job should have, in other words, there's lack of merit based on performance. And my feeling is there should be some performance or evaluation process to determine if these folks deserve these raises. That's item number one. Number two, the health. You're going to hear about how how Mr. Carano and Mr. Hernandez negotiated the health care program where they're going to be matching some of their benefits. The match increase is minuscule. It's minuscule compared to the increases they're getting in their raises. You're talking hundreds of dollars versus thousands of dollars. Third, it's time that this town and other towns in this state, and quite frankly in this country, need to start sending a message to their state legislators. Because as I told Mr. Carano and Mr. Hernandez last night, and we had a wonderful discussion during and after the meeting, and I have utmost respect for those two gentlemen. And I think they did a very good job in negotiating the contract and did the best they can. Because, quite frankly, their hands are tied. And why are their hands tied? Because they are bounded, because of state law, to binding arbitration, which is not fair. It's not fair to me, it's not fair to you, it's not fair to your neighbors. That we can't really cut the best deal that we can for our town. Because if we don't, it automatically goes back to binding arbitration, and a bunch of lawyers are going to decide on whether or not these folks deserve these kind of salaries. Okay? And I'm going to ask you, everybody, something. Where's Lonnie Reed? Lonnie Reed sat on this body years ago. And when she went to Hartford, and you can all call her tomorrow and ask her on my behalf, she promised us that she was going to go to Hartford and fight the binding arbitration process. Well, what has she done since then? I have the floor, I'm sorry. Okay?
I don't disagree with his right to say what he's saying. I don't know if this is the appropriate time. He's giving a minority report that is a minority report, and this is now gone way beyond a minority.
I'm giving my reasons why I'm rejecting this contract.
And I think you have every right to, and want you to, and encourage you to. I just don't like the slope of doing it in the minority report. We should do that when discussion of the motion is moved forward beyond that. A, and B, as I recall, we do have some time limits as well.
Secondly, the other challenge that Mr. Carano and Mr. Hernandez are forced to deal with are the forced regulations that not only this town has to deal with, but other towns have to deal with. And the red tape that they have to deal with, which the bottom line is, at the end of the day, it costs the taxpayers money to adhere to these regulations, and it costs us money. And the reason I'm asking you to reject this is to send a message to the Hartford legislators. They were all voted in today, by the way. They were all voted in today. I'm sorry, thank you. We need to send a message to them. It has to start with, the town of Branford always likes to be cutting edge. We have a cutting edge firehouse. We want to have a cutting edge public services department. We want to have a cutting edge school. Well, let's start having a cutting edge. Let's send a message to Hartford. And let's start asking our legislators to help us here in our local districts. And finally, and to me this is the most compelling reason I'm up here talking, my very first meeting 4 years ago, when I was elected to this body, and I voted against the administrator's contract at that time. The main reason, and there were many people on this side of the aisle that voted against it, and we would have never rejected it if it wasn't for the Democrats supporting our reason for rejecting the contract 4 years ago.
The compelling reason was because of the state of the economy. That was the compelling reason. I'm going to ask every single one of you tonight, and you need to think about this. What has changed from 4 years ago to today? And if you don't know, here are the numbers. Okay, the national unemployment rate was 9.3 in 2010. It's 7.8%. The only reason it's lower is because millions of people have stopped looking for jobs. The Connecticut unemployment rate was 9% in 2010. It's 8.8% today. The unemployment ranking for Connecticut in 2010, had the 45th highest level of unemployment in 2010. We're still at 45%. The national debt, we don't even have to talk about that. All you just have to watch the news or read the paper. You know where that is today. The national debt per taxpayer is $145,000. The national debt per citizen is $52,000 per person. The Connecticut debt is $43 million. The Connecticut debt per citizen is $12,000. The Connecticut median income, this was fascinating. The Connecticut median income in 2010 was $68,174. It's decreased since 2009 to $64,032. And we won't even talk about the Consumer Confidence Index, which continues to be miserable. Thank you very much. I am asking my colleagues on the Democratic side to reject this contract, send it to binding arbitration. The system is broken. We have set the bar in this town and in this state and in this country to continue to spend and spend and spend without any, in my opinion, justification for some of these salaries. And finally, these folks are making good money. They're making excellent money. And I almost guarantee you, if you gave them a 0% increase over the next 3 years, I'll bet you no one would leave. Because there's certainly a huge benefit to being a school administrator in this wonderful town of Branford, Connecticut, and working for the wonderful Board of Education here in Branford. What you're going to do is you're setting the bar to make it worse. And when other departments come in for their raises, they're going to say, why can't I get 7.8% increase? The administrators are getting it. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
I will tell. Can you take your signs with you, please?